Welcome to Voices OKC. We are so excited to have you guys here today. This is our City Center's brand new podcast that we're launching, and we're excited because we're going to be telling stories of business leaders, donors of City Center, families at City Center, young people that are in the program are all going to come on to this podcast and share their story of hope. But guess what? It gets even better. So the youth in the program at City Center are going to actually be producing the actual podcast. So we are so excited to have you today, guys, here at Voices of OKC. And I get to introduce my wife, Julie Chappell.
Hi.
Yes, she has the same last name as me. It is my wife, my favorite person, best friend. Just so grateful for Julie. And Julie, we're going to hear more about you today because I believe this. Our podcast is about voices in OKC, and I see you have emerged as a voice in OKC. You have really, I feel like you're a mother to the center. You have more kids than anybody I know as it relates to young people that we get to serve, and you just have a mother's heart, for them. And I just love watching that and seeing how you can tell, like a lot of the young people that come to our center, it's like they're just thirsty for that. They're so hungry for love and affection. But so we're going to hear more about your story today. We're also going to hear more about your role at City Center and what that whole process looked like for us when we founded the organization and launched it. For those of you that don't know as well, so Julie is over all of our operations. She runs the operations of City Center, and specifically her passion is events that we have at City Center, and she does an incredible job at that. But so Julie, tell us more about you. Like I want to hear this. I think I know it all. I should know it all after 21 years, but I want to hear just like what it was like for you. Where'd you grow up? What was that like? What is it is there something that you experienced when you were younger that kind of informs what you do now? So I'd like to hear it.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet.
So I grew up in a small town, Jones, Oklahoma, and moved to the city when I was in college. So I found myself at one point in my life, in my early 20s, being a single mom with two small boys. And I was in college and working and, doing the best that I could do. But I really found myself struggling, like I think a lot of people do in Oklahoma, struggling with poverty, struggling with food insecurity. And, the food stamps that we had just really weren't enough. So I remember one particular day that I'll never forget that I feel like kind of propelled me into the role and the heart that I have for City Center now. I experienced what it was like to go to a food pantry, and it was at a local church. And I think that their heart and their intention was good to, make sure that I was being a good steward of my finances.
And how long ago was this?
This was probably 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a long time ago.
Sure,
and I think things have obviously changed since then.
Maybe.
I'll never forget I went to the church with my two little boys, and I had to take a day off work because this food pantry was only open, a few hours a month during the work day. So I had to miss income and miss work to go, and I didn't have a printer at home, and I had to bring bank accounts and bills to prove I lived in the area. And matter of fact, this particular food pantry was right here in this neighborhood, in this community, and I lived right here in this community as well. So this sweet little lady took me to a room and pillaged my bank account and counseled me on everything that she felt like I should not be spending money on, and then it was very undignifying and just a really dehumanizing experience, to be honest. And I walked away at the end of it thinking, well, it's okay. At least I'll have food to make meals for my kids. And I'll never forget, I had like 5 or 6 pieces of bread in a Ziploc baggie that had some mold on it, and a can of peas there was no label. It was just written with a Sharpie, and just a few odds and ends, things like that. And I just remember thinking, like, I can't even make a meal out of this. We ate it, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was food. But I just remember thinking, like, I will never go back to a food pantry and experience that. I'll ask friends, I'll ask family, or we'll just not eat.
Yeah, it's such an undignifying experience is what it sounds like to me. And so to our listeners and those of you watching on YouTube, the whole reason why we specifically operate with a culture of dignifying other people that are coming to our center is because of Julie's experience and what she's the heart that she has for families and young people to feel like they're human. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're less than anyone else.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you did anything wrong necessarily. It just means that you're in a tough spot. And, we really need each other, in those times. And I love seeing your heart whenever, a single mom comes in with a couple kids and you can tell
it excites me to get to go and say like, hey, I noticed that your kids look like they might need some shoes, without making that mom feel bad that her kids need shoes. But like, hey, I've got a room full of brand new shoes upstairs that's kind of hidden. Tell me what sizes they need. And then I get to go ask the kids, hey, what's your favorite character? What kind of shoes do you want? And it's really cool when we have what they need just right there on hand. And my life has changed so much since then. And I'm so blessed and so lucky to have all that I have and the ability to provide for my kids and my grandkids. But I will never forget what it felt like to be a single mom and need help, need the community's help. And, at the end of the day, I was in college and I was working and I was contributing to society and I was trying my hardest to make a better life for myself.
Sure. And I feel like here we just have to assume that about everybody,
Absolutely.
And so you never know how one small act of kindness, which is not very small for some people, but of a food box can absolutely change someone's world. And because of the heart with which I feel like you've really positioned us when it comes to the resource side and food and stuff like that, we've seen some pretty cool stuff. I'll tell a really quick story. So we have an annual campaign that you're fully aware of. For our listeners, we do a Christmas drive for students, and we actually purchase about 7,000 gifts for students all over Oklahoma City. And we have a great friend he's on a radio station. He'll be on the show at some point, but he picks up checks for us every year, and so he picks up a lot of money for us. Anyway, there was one guy that called him and said, "Hey, I want to give you a check. Will you meet me at this truck stop?" And so, if it's me, I'm thinking, I'm not sure I want to meet a stranger at a truck stop, but our friend he's a different kind of guy, man. He'll go anywhere. He'll just do that. So he went, and this guy proceeds to tell our friend, he said, "Hey, just so you know, several years ago, I was really hurting financially. My business was failing. I didn't have any food in my pantry. I didn't have anything. And I came to City Center and they met my needs. They gave me food and clothing." I'm gonna get emotional.
I know, these are the best stories.
And then he said, "So here's a check for $250. I'm doing great now, but in my worst time, in my most hopeless time, you provided hope." So what's really powerful to me is that's exactly what that culture that you've established does. It says, we're not going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to ask you how your day is. We're going to ask you how you're feeling, if there's any other needs that you have, but we're not going to ask you demoralizing questions and humiliating questions that make you feel less than when you came here. So thank you so much for that part of it. And just hearing your story, knowing your story. When we met, you were living that life. You were a single mom putting yourself through college, working 2 jobs, and really making it happen. And so I really am just so excited about the posture that we have here, and it's definitely your influence. So
Me too. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to jump right back in because I can't wait to hear more about what you do here at City Center. All right, we are back here with Voices of OKC with Julie Chappell, my wife and founder of City Center, and we are just so excited to have you today. We've been open now for almost 9 years, a little over
9 years.
9 years and 2 months to be exact.
Yeah.
That's crazy, that it's flown by so quick. We're going to have a 10-year anniversary for City Center really soon. So
more events to plan.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the previous segment, you shared what was, it was pretty much your hopeless moment that really had a major influence in everything you chose to do from that point on. So that was a critical moment. What do you think the moment was specifically where you said, you know what? I'm starting to see a glimmer of hope for my life. I'm starting to see there's something more for me to do or to be a part of or to experience. What was that moment like? Did you have a moment because obviously you're doing something now, we're doing something together that's very hope driven, very purpose driven. So at some point I would have to think that you had this experience where you're like, I think there's something more for me to do?
Sure. Well, I mentioned in the previous segment that I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
So my degree actually was in occupational therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew, living in poverty and needing all this help was going to be short lived while I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first right out of college job with my degree was actually at a local homeless shelter.
Oh, yeah.
Where we worked together, and the place was incredible. And I remember I really got to do a kind of out of the box therapy, if you will say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to help establish a therapeutic program for the younger kids and families that were experiencing homelessness and, all of the chaos. And I remember thinking then, man, it would be so cool if I ever had an opportunity to help and do this on a bigger scale. And so although I'm not currently practicing as a occupational therapist, I am able to use those skills every day with the kids and the families that come in here, that are in our program, that come into our resource center. And, I just remember that being like that season. I don't know if I can pinpoint a day, but I remember that season being my hope season of like, I'm coming out of poverty and I'm working with people that are still in it. And I'm seeing hope at the end of the tunnel.
That's really good. And this is why we do this podcast, because, and when we talk about stories at City Center all the time, stories are powerful. There's no way that you can argue with me about what I've experienced,
Yeah.
The experiences I've had spiritually, the experiences I've had, here on earth in just various ways. That's a real thing to me, And so when we share stories, I believe that it removes a guard that many people have down. They say, oh, wow, like Julie was living in poverty. Yeah. Julie was on food stamps. Julie couldn't make ends meet. She was trying to raise two boys, what.
Yeah.
And now she's helping run
Sure.
a nonprofit organization. And it's pretty phenomenal when you think about that, when you're willing to tell a story and share that, it does do something to people. And so,
and when I went to that food pantry, if they had said to me, hey, I understand what you're going through and I know what it feels like, how you're feeling sitting in that chair today, because I've been there, I think the experience would have been more dignifying, less dehumanizing. And so I'm so open to share my story and my experiences, because I believe that brings hope to other people to say, hey, she was right there where I was. She's not judging me. She really is here to help, and this place is here to help.
That's so good. The non-judgment component is very, very important here. We can have all kinds of opinions or assumptions. Most of the time, it's assumptions that we assume that this person's irresponsible, or this person's doing drugs, or this person's doing that. And based off of your experience, that's not always the case.
Right.
Many times it's just a series of unfortunate events that kind of pile up. And I think, I can't remember, when we were at City Rescue Mission together, I remember the stat that basically said most people in Oklahoma are 2 weeks away from being homeless.
2 paychecks.
2 paychecks away from being homeless. And so it's that serious,
And I think about our listeners and how many people that are listening to this podcast today are 2 paychecks away from absolute poverty and their life imploding. And I have a friend right now who is going through a medical crisis and lost her job because of the medical crisis. And now she's losing her house and things are just in a rapid decline for her. Luckily, she's got a support system, but not everybody has that support system. And so, I think stories connect us to other people and they bring hope.
100%, and that's, it's not like I just want to go and tell the world that I was shot 4 times by a police officer. That's not the highlight reel you want to share necessarily, but I'm unashamed to share that because of what God's done in my life to make the good side of that story even possible, But all the people, and I've seen it with you, all the moms that come in here, they can sense that you get something different than most people would. And then when we have guys that come in that have been incarcerated, they're full of shame, and even a lot of the kids think I'm a cop, which I'm like, no, you got that one wrong, guys. But
Close.
But a lot of these guys get out of prison full of shame, and then the next thing you know, they're right back incarcerated again. And so, but when they hear a story of someone that's made it out of prison, that is actually doing something productive with their life, I feel like it gives them a little hope,
Yeah.
you know. So,
And I think anybody can look at you and I together and the stories that we came from and what we're doing now and how faithful God's been to us and find hope in that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you and I can be where we are now.
What do you mean by that?
Anybody can.
No, I love that. That's
Yeah.
good. That's really good. You know, and we've been through so much with
Yeah.
building, you know, what we believe God has called us to build
Yeah.
with City Center, and it's been an exciting ride. So I want to hear more about what you do now. So City Center, you help organize so many things.
Sure.
There's not even just one job or one description that I could even throw out there. But first of all, start with what you really love doing every day.
I love the resource center. I mean, I love walking in and seeing people access our resources and making a connection with somebody new. It's literally my favorite. My favorite job is event planning. I love hosting. I love giving gifts. I love serving. And so, you know, our fundraising galas and our block parties, which those are the best. If you ever get a chance and you're in the area, come to one of our block parties. It's just, I love it. I love all the
Yeah.
things.
Well,
Christmas is my very favorite, though.
Yeah, we have so many fun events that I'm just so proud of. You know, we get to serve so many families and young people in these large block party groups where it feels like it's, hey, we're just out in the community celebrating. This isn't,
Just here to love on people.
we're just here to love people. And there's such a, it's such a fun way to figure out ways to engage in relationship with the people that are around our center. So it's a ton of fun. We have a blast every time. And you did an excellent job at planning those too. The staff is 100% on board. And so it's been a really exciting ride. So tell us a little bit about, we have Christmas coming up. Now we have
Yes,
Thanksgiving
we
coming
do.
up too. We just gave away how many backpacks filled with school
Oh my
supplies?
goodness. I think it was like 1,200.
1,200. That
full
was
of supplies.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so we're getting ready to jump into Thanksgiving where we'll have actual Thanksgiving dinners that we'll eat with the community sitting down. But tell me about Christmas. So
Christmas is
guys,
a
you
beast
want
all
to
in
hear this.
itself.
You probably, if you're watching this or listening to this, you probably want to get involved in Christmas. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
But explain the whole process with
Yeah.
Christmas.
You know, once again, my experience as a single mom, I remember having no money to buy Christmas when the boys were little. And I went to a thrift store and I bought a flashlight and a teddy bear that I took home and put in the washing machine. And that's what the boys got for Christmas that year. And so those experiences always stand out in my head when I'm thinking about how to serve families. And so then I had an experience where I went to a church and signed up for gifts, like a lot of churches do. And I just want to throw a challenge out there for anybody who's doing Christmas for families to make it about the families and to make it about the kids and not about the volunteers and not about the people that are hosting the event. Because, you know, it was great to go and I'm very thankful that we were able to go and receive a gift for my 3-year-old. And it was a 0 to 3 toy. And he opened it in front of the volunteers 2 weeks before Christmas. And it was a newborn gift. And so again, my heart I was very thankful. But come Christmas morning when he had his used teddy bear, that was all he had that morning. And so when we created our Christmas program, my heart was just to do it different. And I said, it's not about me. It's not about me watching the kids open the gifts. So we let the families come in and sign up for Christmas. Every single child has an individual wish list, and me and my volunteers individually shop for those kids.
That's
we
incredible.
do not buy in bulk. We literally shop individually. We buy the child something they want, something they need. We turn the whole place into Santa's workshop. And then we have what we call a 3 days of Christmas celebration. And on day 1, we have volunteers from all over the community show up at City Center, and we wrap about 7,000 or 8,000 gifts.
With
in
how
about
many volunteers?
6 hours, about 500
Yeah,
volunteers.
it's unbelievable.
crazy.
If you haven't been a part of this, you got to be a part of it.
It's so much fun. And we get every single one of those gifts wrapped, bagged, and put in delivery bags on day 1. Day 2, we turn the whole center into a themed Christmas party for the community, which is so much fun. And then day 3, we end with gift delivery. And so we strategically deliver gifts to the families' houses before Christmas, wrapped, because we want mom and dad to have the dignity of providing and starting their own traditions. And so some families open them right there the same day and others wait until Christmas. But It's about the kid and it's about the family and it's not about me. And people ask me all the time, don't you wish that doesn't it bother you? You don't get to see if they like it. And I say, no, because that's between them and their parents or whoever signed them up. So, and we do cross-reference with other organizations to make sure that we're not all sponsoring the same family, so that these kids always have Christmas under the tree.
That's really good. Yeah, Christmas is so much fun. And again, I'm speaking to everyone listening to this or watching. The Christmas event is such a blast. That, of course, that time of year is just special for some people. It's hard, but we feel like this event has just been such a wonderful experience for so many people, and delivering those gifts it's so cool, because there's some families that we have gone to multiple years in a row, and there's this one family that, man, she makes homemade tamales.
She stands in the driveway and waits for the delivery driver.
They're unbelievable, but they're just so great, happy, grateful, and it's more than that even. It's just we're all kind of family, We're kind of like, we're in this together.
Some families that we've been serving for 5 and 6, 7 years. Yeah. But those families are also the families that are here stocking our clothing room and volunteering because they want to. Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, this is a place that is just the home for the community.
Well, I've always said that, the big thing to figure out for all of us in the nonprofit space, I believe, it's not the programming you actually have, it's how you deliver the programming.
Absolutely.
Because that's what's important, how someone feels when they leave your space.
Yeah.
That's the real win there, if it's a positive experience. And so I'll just, share, and I want everybody to know it's because of Julie Chappell that culture exists. It really is. You've been very intentional about that, and that is a big, big, big part of the success we see with being able to welcome families into our center and young people. So thank you so much for that. It's really powerful. Yeah.
It's so important. Yeah.
And so finally, we're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
So I want to hear one story from you, the most hopeful story of a young person here at City Center that stands out to you. I don't care. I don't know who that might be, but I think I have an idea. I kind of think I know, but I just want to hear you tell it, because there's so many just powerful stories of young people that just didn't have any options, and they came here and it presented multiple options that their minds opened up to. Many kids that were dropped off in police cars, finished high school when they didn't think they were going to, got a car, they have a house, all these cool things. Yeah. So it's just exciting to see the fruit of it after, you jump into this work so eager to just help and serve. And then after 8 or 9 years, you're like, wow, it's actually working. Yeah. So, I want to hear that story that you have.
Actually, I think I'm going to go with a different story just to change it up. So I won't share this person's name because I don't have her permission. Sure. But we had a young lady who was in high school when we first opened, middle school or high school. And she was not in a gang, but she was gang affiliated, I believe. And she was the meanest girl I've ever seen. She was beating boys up. She was beating all kinds of people up. Well, in high school, she joined the wrestling team, and she was the only girl on the wrestling team. And do you know, she ended up getting saved, but this girl went to a private Christian college on a wrestling scholarship. Wow. And now she has graduated college, is on her way to law school. And she wants to, I know it makes me want to cry. And she's going to specialize in juvenile justice to help those kids that were just like her. And I think, man, she could so easily have been arrested. She could so easily have been tossed aside. And we could have so easily said, she's too much trouble to have here. But she was a handful. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you're listening today, I hope you know we love you and we're proud of you. Yeah. But, those are the kids that we want at City Center. And those are the stories that we built City Center for. I mean, I could tell you 5 stories.
Oh, I know. We have so many stories.
But she's one of my favorites.
Yeah. That's a really powerful
huge
one.
Success story.
It's funny. Me and Ashanti, our programs director, we were talking the other day, and there's a man that started coming from Capps Middle School, and I won't share his name either, but definitely going through some stuff. He had witnessed a murder. He families openly doing drugs in front of them, stuff like that. And after talking to him, me personally, I went to Ashante. It's like, you're doing your job right.
Yep. Because he's here. Because he's here, and
100%.
we haven't said, you're too much. Yeah. Love is a verb.
It is. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, guys, but the reality is, man, when you get into this work and you really start applying principles that what is it? What makes me feel valued? What makes me feel loved?
Yeah.
Let me apply that to the people that we get to serve, and let's see what happens. And so it's been so powerful to see the growth in City Center, the evolution of City Center. And so I'm just super excited to have you on the team, and so glad that we can build this thing together.
Yeah. And
so thankful for your story of hope, because I truly believe that what you've experienced will inspire people.
Yeah.
And, it will encourage, I feel like, especially single moms and other moms in different situations, that, hey, you can overcome whatever you're in. It is possible. It is very possible. And so thank you for being willing to share that and be vulnerable. Guys, Voices of OKC, Julie Chappell, co-founder of City Center, my wife, thank you so much for being here. And we can't wait to see you guys next time.